Hello there, and this is the fourth episode of the Deliberate Talks podcast. And if you have been following this series by now, you know I'm your weekly voice, Dakshin Adyanthaya. And keyword for today's episode is the future. Emphasizing on the word keyword, we're talking about the future of SEO. Now, for those who don't know what SEO means, it's an abbreviation for search engine optimization. And while our guest today will focus on simplifying it for us, a report from Assertive highlights the three most popular search engines in the world are Google, YouTube, and Amazon. Did you know Google dominates the search engine market by maintaining almost 87% market share? And interestingly, 81% of businesses consider their blogs as the most important asset to their business. So do you have a blog? Also, 70 to 80% of users ignore the paid ads and focus on organically getting results. And there are more than around 167 billion searches that are conducted on Google every month. Insane, right? So now, let's add some relevance of this conversation in your marketing practices. But before that,
this is the Deliberate Talks weekly podcast, powered by the Pixelated Egg Digital Ventures. Tune in every week to learn something new about digital marketing and entrepreneurship. And now, over to the voice of your host, Dakshin Adyanthaya. Enjoy the show.
So today, we have the head of communications at SEMrush. He has been with the brand ever since the beginning of the company's marketing efforts and has gone to build a very effective marketing team. He has also been one of the brand's ace speaker at 50 plus top conferences worldwide every year. He specializes in B2B search marketing, e-commerce, influencer marketing, and trained marketing teams of various companies globally. Here is Fernando Angulo.
Oh, it's great to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Thank you for being a part of the Deliberate Talks podcast. I'm going to start this conversation with you by directly asking you to simplify SEO.
So, if we talk about SEO in a very beginner's way, I will need to tell a small story. So, imagine, for example, that you have perfect product, but nobody can find it. Nobody can see it. And you don't know where to offer that product. So the SEO comes into empower more the visibility that you have for that product in the search results. So here we need to talk about search engines. We're talking about Google, Baidu, Yandex, Bing, whatever it is. So you can be sure that you are creating content that supports your product or service to be found on those results. So you don't need to pay for advertising. You are just doing all the efforts to ensure that you're going to be ranking for that search query that your user is typing on the search engine. So you want to be found, you want to have online visibility, you need to practice SEO. That's a process that you need to start working with.
Well, there's a lot of ambiguity about SEO. SEO is not a primary focus at this point of time. Why do you think businesses should focus on this?
Yes, that was a huge mistake, and I'm sure most of the businesses that they were telling that, oh, if you are doing SEO, you're gonna be waiting for results in 3-4 months, maybe next year. Well, that's actually not the case, because you can work different strategies. You can have results tomorrow. You can have results the next couple of weeks with the feature snippets. You have SERP features. You can rank their images. You can rank videos as well. But if you want to rank for high volume keywords, of course, you need to work harder, and you need to create an environment for your website to build that. So if you're not investing in SEO at all, that means that your visibility is going to be equal to zero in the next upcoming future. But if you are doing something in SEO, you're going to have some results. Any search feature that is outside, if you have images, if you have videos, If you have even a podcast, because now you can rank with the podcast as well. There's those search features that are actually in the search result. So it's a really bad idea not investing in SEO these days.
Right. One thing synonymous with search engine optimization is content. It's a very crucial part, we all know that. And the focus of content, unfortunately, has been more towards social media. In today's relevance, what do you think is the top performing content formats, even for individuals or for brands?
That's a great question. Well, actually, content is the key factor when we are talking about SEO. Why is that? Because through content, you are offering your special packages, your special services. You are empowering your products to be seen on the search engines. And in this case, when you are creating content, you need to be sure that you are solving people's problems, you are solving people's questions, you are answering their questions. Because if we're talking about your product means nothing if they are not solving, if that product is not solving people's problems. When you're creating content, you need to take into account these three main categories of keywords. The first category are the question keywords. So what is the name of your product? What is the name of your brand? First one, how to use your product, how to use the service that you are providing. And the last great question is where to buy, where to find that product. Then we go to the second category of keywords, which are the preposition keywords. So when a user is searching for some details, some specific characteristics, they are using prepositions such as with, without, for example, iPhone with two SIM cards, or apartment in the street B with two rooms. So they are using more specific words, which are the prepositions, and their intent is higher. And the last category of keywords are, of course, comparison keywords, where you can introduce keywords such as compare, and also the price keywords. For example, price of an iPhone 11 versus price of Galaxy S20, for example. Those keywords are the really game changers when we're talking about a user intent, because what happens when someone searching for the price of something? That means that they are considering a lot to buy that product. So you need to have those three categories of keywords and build content around them.
And what kind of format are you looking at? Are you talking about videos, images, blogs? What kind of format actually works best from an SEO point of view?
I believe it's a mix of everything. For example, if you're creating a product page, right? You want to promote a specific type of bicycle, a mountain bike. You have the product, you have the category there, you have this mountain bike X, and you need to build content specifying why the user needs to buy that bicycle. So question, how to change tires on this bike, where you can use this bike, how do you need a warranty for using this bike? So all related questions needs to be there inside of that page. And of course, there also you need to have those questions, where to buy this bike, what is the price of this bike, what are the other related products, comparison tables between that bike and all other ones. If you can use there a video showing not only words, that's even better, because the trend is that users are more likely to consume videos when they are trying to buy something, because they want to see how it looks, what is the experience of the person who is using it. And if you're using images, please use a lot of images and alt text. So it's a mix of every other resource that you can put in that piece of content.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about promoting and populating this content in various forums, threads like Quora or Pinterest? Do you think the repurposing of this content in other platforms is an effective way of promoting SEO?
Oh, yes. And actually, when you are creating a piece of content that you think that it's going to be the winner, when I say the winner, I mean it's going to rank, you need to think about that content not just as a couple of words or a couple of videos, but it's an entire new product that you are offering, because that content, it will help you to sell more. It's going to be selling for you. So it's like your salesperson. Think about the content as another employee. Think about the content as another piece of product that you have, and you need to empower it by using different channels to promote it. So if you can integrate it more with social media, and if you can talk about that in your, for example, webinars, you can do interviews, you can do your mass mailing. If you have an email database and you want to share that piece of content, you need to do it, of course. If you had a private channel on, I don't know, WhatsApp or Telegram, you need to offer that content as well. So use all the channels that you have as you are creating a special campaign for promoting that content. That's the way you can have better results.
Hmm. And when you integrate it with social media, so for example, a platform like Instagram might not necessarily be a very SEO friendly platform, but say a YouTube is and Pinterest is. So when it comes to social media, what are the platforms that you suggest to be active on or push the content for better SEO?
Well, in terms of SEO friendly, I believe all the platforms that are working with audience are really good for SEO, not in terms that is affecting directly your rankings,
Right.
but in terms that if you have users, for example, I know a couple of websites that are using a lot the fan page of Facebook. They are just getting traffic to their website because that is the objective, and they have tons of users on Facebook. But if you have the same situation on Twitter, use it. So my first advice here will be to check what are the sources of traffic of your main competitors, or what are the sources of traffic of industry leaders. So if you can check any traffic analytics tool, for example, in SEMrush, we have one that is integrated that is called traffic analytics. You can just enter the domain of any of your competitors, check what are the sources and exactly what are the referring domains that are sending people to that website. You can check, okay, my users, or basically the users from my competition are in Quora, or they are in Reddit. So it makes kind of sense for you to create content there as well, because people are entering there to search for the same type of content that you are creating. So check first what your competitors are doing in terms of user acquisition.
Even from that perspective, with social selling coming into the picture very aggressively now, with Instagram directly allowing a brand to sell products, with marketplaces coming into the picture, as well as Pinterest shopping, do you think that small businesses would now start using social media as a more effective medium to sell rather than, investing on a website and building in SEO from a long-term perspective?
Yes, I believe that's a great idea, and that's a great move for any business that wants to sell faster. Because when it comes to navigation, right, you have your own website and you want people to navigate through different categories of your products. That for an user is kind of painful to go from one category to another. But if they can see in their social networks some products that they say, okay, I really love this one, and they want to buy it from it, if they have the choice to do it, that's even better, because they don't need to navigate through your website in order to find the product. They can find it immediately from the search social media network. So it's a great idea to go directly to those platforms with your products without navigation.
Right. But that also kind of, goes back to the conversation where people will still continue saying that maybe investing in SEO is not required at this point of time. But from a long term perspective, as much as you build your medium, as much as content you bring into, as much as community building exercise that you do, all with tracking in the repeat users and all those kind of analytical advantages that your own portal has. Of course, social media has its own analytical tools as well. But having said that, I think it might dilute the whole purpose of continuing to invest in SEO or not is an interesting take there. So then just talking about the importance from an SEO point of view, tell me more about the best case scenarios and the least effective scenarios where you have personally helped a brand grow using SEO.
So if we check what Google is doing right now in terms of algorithm updates, their results, how they are updating their own results, we can see that in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe more, all the changes and deviations in Google's algorithms are 95% related to the quality of the content. So Google is saying that if your content is answering people's questions, if your content is related to other relevant resources, such as universities, such as financial institutions, government institutions. So if you are relating your content with very serious websites, so I mean links, that means that you are creating very trustful content and you should be okay. But if you are just copy pasting, that's the problem right now with SEO, and that's the bad scenario that companies are just creating content from another source, so they are copying the content, and they are building an entire environment of internet made from copy paste. So copy paste is the worst idea that a business can have. Even changing a few words from the original source is also a bad idea because Google is really smart. They are checking, they are indexing billions of content every day, and they know where is the source. Even if you're changing some words, they know the original version. So try to create, well, not try to create original content with different types of strategy, videos, infographics, and a really good idea that is working a lot. Include inside of your content lists, tables, and of course include images. I mean, seriously, if you want to have a feature snippet, for example, you need to have at least 2 or 3 lists inside of your content. And if you want to have those feature snippets, use the how-to questions. In the other side, the really bad case is when you are just creating content because you need to create content and you don't have any idea what to do next with that content. So you are not ranking for your keywords, you are not getting your results, and you're just wasting your money. You need to have a strategy where you want to go with the content that you're creating and build more content around that. I see that a lot of new players for the last 3 months, because the situation that we are facing made a lot of companies that were working only offline change immediately dramatically to online, and they want to know how to sell online. But that's not the correct question. The correct question is how to attract users and how to solve user problems. So don't try to find how to sell online. That's not going to help you. You need to find how to make your users happier.
But picking on that conversation of yours, a lot of brands have taken a step back in terms of spending aggressively on performance marketing. The spends have gone low. And interestingly, a lot of brands now, because they had the time during lockdown where, a lot of activities weren't happening, they focused on spending more on creating content for blogs or even building in an online portal. Very interesting to see that part of it evolve. But would love to understand from you, how do you think the internet world from a brand and an individual perspective has actually changed from a COVID point of view?
Yes, during this situation, I believe a lot of industries were affected. Some of them are affected till now. For example, if we're talking about airlines, tourism, hospitality, also the offline events industry is off right now. Most of them they switch to online version of their services, but still, it's not the same thing. And when we're talking about whole industries, for example, the whole delivery industry, if they didn't have the capacity to solve quests. For example, we have this problem in different countries in Europe where Uber Eats, they were just not the number one, and they closed because they couldn't fill all the needs from people's requests. So they closed from the beginning of June, and they left. So you need to see the capacity that you can provide for the services that you are offering. And starting from then, you need to check what to do next. Maybe you need to elaborate an idea to create differentiation product, a second product that it will help you in situations, in crisis situations like this. For example, I know that many airline companies, they are trying right now to create the whole entire program for tourism. There people are acquiring tickets for their flights, so they want to introduce more services to be more proactive because they are in troubles, right? But something is working because we can see more countries opening, for example, in Europe. The situation is not the same everywhere, but my suggestion here is to check what is happening in your industry. From there, elaborating more into your strategy. If you are suffering right now all the consequences, I will consider to check what was happening with those industries. For example, offline events, hospitality, airlines at the beginning of the COVID situation. They were communicating with everyone. They were trying to build a community. They were on social media everywhere. I remember we made a research based on sentiment analysis from these industries, the ones who were suffering the most, and we saw that they were using more and more personal comments. They were starting conversations. They were solving people's problems on social media. So the way that they were handling this situation was being more public, being more flexible during this situation. Of course, known follower doesn't mean that you have a client, right? But it's a prospect that in the future can come to you. So nurture more your users, be more closest to them, and then you elaborate how to solve this situation.
And what about those businesses which actually are starting from scratch? So what are the 5 most important SEO tips that you would suggest to these businesses?
Well, if a business is starting, we create a research based on the top 80 errors that every business is doing in SEO. The top 5, I will say, are based on content, on the structure of their page. I mean the technical SEO part. But if we go directly with business metrics, right? I will say, if you want to create a web page, you need to identify first, where are you right now? You are entering into a very populated market with a high level of competition. You are wasting your time if you don't have budget for ads, for example. But if you already know who you want to be in 2 or 3 months, you have the budget, you need to take a risk because also if you have the budget, nothing is for sure that you're going to be taking a position in the market. So first, take a look where you are. Check the trends. Check what is happening in your industry. The second point will be, okay, now that you know that you can go to an industry that you can, for example, if we're talking about digital marketing, you want to open an agency, you need to check what is your special offer, not your service. I'm not talking about your product or service. What is your special offer? How you are able to solve people's problem, how you're able to answer people's question. And you need to think about your offer. Once you define your offer, you need to create, the third point, you need to create an audience around you. So you need to be more active on social media. You need to be more active on your niche, in your circle. Right now, you cannot go to any offline event, but still you can do a lot of things on social media, even with social ads, just promoting the things that you are doing. The fourth point will be, okay, now that you have a little bit of knowledge about what you want to do or what is your situation in the market, build that web page. That's not the first point. That's not the 0 point. That's the fourth point. After you know who you are, after you know that people like your offers, then think to build your web page. And think to build your web page already with the idea of achieving your goals. The web page is not the main thing. The web page is just the instrument to attract and retain most of the people that you want to convert with it. And the fifth point, you need to have a list of tasks that you need to accomplish every single month. So you need to create a process with a high level of visibility during this year, during the next year, during the years to come. So build a process inside of your webpage. Audit SEO, content audit, content creation, social media engagement, all of that stuff that needs to be required for attracting more users. That would be my advice.
And what about those budgets that we always have a conversation with the clients on? In such a scenario, what do you think is an ideal budget for a business to not just on e-commerce, but as well as for SEO or building up their community or building up their content for the next 3 months or looking for the next 6 months in terms of growth? What would you suggest?
Oh, that's a tricky question because the answer can be also Well, it depends of the business that you want to open. It depends of the e-commerce. For example, the level, the budget for opening an e-commerce. I was reading a research made by Business Insider that the minimal budget to start an e-commerce business that is going to be profitable in 2011, so 9 years ago, was around $5,000. Today, well, actually, at the beginning of the year, it was $55,000 because you need to have all the website, you need to have the logistics, you need to have the product. So the increasing of the budget for just maintaining and creating all the web page, all the contacts for building the visibility is around $55,000. So it's not easy, I will say, to build a good one. But if you are the kind of people that want to invest your time into acquiring more knowledge, there's going to be a huge difference here. But still, you're going to be investing your time for learning how to create an e-commerce, how to build a web page, how to create content. So you need to invest your time in knowledge. And there's a lot of academies out there that are free. There's a lot of information out there, but you need to just find the perfect ones that it match your needs.
Great. So what do you suggest to an entrepreneur in terms of the self-learning exercises? What kind of resources do they need to read up or go to? What kind of tools they need to try? Where do they get their content ideas from? Or where do they really start their research from? What would you suggest to these business owners?
Well, for starters, I will tell you how I started, for example, because I'm working with different projects related to tourism, even gambling, dating, which are really, really complex and high, with a high level of competition industries. To start thinking about going further with any idea that you have, you need to look first how you need to build your own online presence. So you need to build about brand awareness. And for doing that, you need to attract a lot of people. I would recommend definitely to go and check the inbound marketing strategy that is offered by HubSpot, for example. They have a great academy. I started there as well with the inbound strategy, just learning how you need to build funnels, how you need to create your buyer persona. The second point here will be to understand how you need to be more close to your users, creating a beautiful piece of content. For that, we created inside of SEMrush our SEMrush Academy, which is free for everyone as well. There you can acquire the knowledge for creating content. And of course, if you want to go more technical, we have also all the lessons for SEO, not only for beginners, but also for the people who want to go in a more expert level. So the advice here is to acquire more knowledge, go with different resources. These two ones are the best ones for me, for my personal story. But for more that is happening around your site, go to Google Analytics, go to Google Search Console, learn how to use it, take the exams, go and learn more about how to create better audiences in display network, learn how to create ads, for example. There is a lot of things to learn.
And what about content keywords? What about the keyword learning? What are the tools that you would suggest there? Is there any recommendations from your end?
Oh yes, definitely. And I have two paths that are going for example, when you're doing the keyword research, you can go the classical way, just going for the checking the volumes, checking keyword difficulty. That's the classical way. But also you need to check what are the trends, how people are right now requesting a certain product or service. You can check that, for example, in Answer the Public, or people also search. Or in SEMrush, for example, we have this tool that is called Topic Research Tool that is not 100% related to SEO. It's related to content creation, because you need to check what people are using. So you can go to Answer the Public, or to People Also Search, or to Topic Research that is built powered by SEMrush.
Great. Fernando, now I'm going to move into a more lighter section, and I'm going to be throwing in rapid fire questions at you. These are 5 quick questions, and I really expect you to be prompt on this. So, are you ready?
Nice. I love that. Yes, ready.
Right. The first question, SEMrush allows 1, 2. Now complete the sentence.
Grow your online visibility.
Nice. What skill sets do you need to start a career in SEO?
Confidence, technical SEO, and JavaScript.
Okay. How do you measure an SEO mandate successfully?
Amount of keywords that you have in the top pages.
Mm-hmm. You can get blacklisted by search engine for doing what all? Complete the sentence.
Manipulating links and copy pasting other websites content.
Okay. And what's next for SEMrush?
We are going to different categories of products that are not related to Google, for example, Amazon.
Superb. Now, coming to the last part of this segment, we take one question from our followers who send in our question. So, how do I achieve a zero position using SEO? You've touched upon it slightly in the conversation prior, but tell me your thoughts about how to go about achieving position zero using SEO.
Oh, yes, that beautiful zero position that is called basically search features, or the ones who are feature snippets. To get there, you need to create content, of course, in three different formats. The first format are paragraphs. When you are, for example, creating a title, you need to include there your main keyword. For example, it can be what is and the name of your product or your service. In this case, if you put in your search engine in Google, what is SEMrush? You will see there, basically most of the countries we have this feature snippet, and you will see a paragraph, or you will see a video, or you'll see a location, or silent. You will see search features. So you need to create content based on questions. Then you need to have at least those results, those keywords in the top 5 positions online. So build content around your main questions, and you will receive those results. That's the first category. Then you have the list. Have more than 2 lists. If you don't have lists, you will never have any position zero. So create content with lists. And the most relevant questions here are the how-to questions. How to open a bank account, how to acquire a wedding ring, whatever the question started on how to. After that, create a list. And the last one is the most interesting one, are tables. Create content with tables using comparison keywords and the price keywords. So with paragraphs, with lists, with tables, you can obtain those beautiful position zeros.
And where does voice search fit into all these things? In fact, my last conversation with James from podcast.co was more on the lines of how voice search is getting its importance, and a lot of marketers are integrating it in their search campaigns. Curious to know, what do you think about the whole revolution of voice and how it's going to play a part now and in the future of SEO?
Well, actually, there is schema markup, the speakable markup that can help you to do that. But for long results, it can help Google to understand that you want to have that result in a voice search result in a voice device. Mm-hmm. But we were also searching, and we have different research based on feature snippets results, and we saw that 86% of the voice search results are taken from feature snippets. So that's a really good news for the people who want to acquire the position zero, who are working for acquiring feature snippets, because main source for voice search results are taken from feature snippets. So you have 2 wins there. But I need to say this: nothing bad will happen right now to your website if you are not working for voice search results. Actually, it's not a trending situation right now. It can be in the future, in the nearest future, next 2 or 5 years. Everybody in the search industry were thinking 3 years ago that it's going to be the next big thing. This year, for example, or last year, but that just didn't happen. The voice recognition devices are good, but they are not perfect right now. But still, it's a good opportunity to invest in the future. So go for the feature snippets, and you will have a voice search result.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fernando, for sharing your thought process and your ideas about SEO. It's been a great learning for all of us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Deliberate Talks podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I had a great time.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope it's been educative, informative, and fun at the same time. And if you have any feedback, you can mail it to deliberatetalks@gmail.com. Also, like I always say, don't forget to follow the Deliberate Talks and the Pixelated Egg on all your social media platforms. Join me next week for a wonderful new conversation with a new guest. Till then, inspire and be inspired.